Steelers Nation, we are back with another great episode. Former Steelers tight end, why not Wes Saunders, South Carolina's own. Well, he's from Durham. I did my research, but we're going to get right to it. But first, I wanted to say a big shout out to our newest sponsor, Shop Yins. That's shopyins.com with 2 Z's. We have a giveaway going on with them. We're going to be doing stuff throughout the football season. Yins is the #1 brand for Pittsburgh sports. Finally, one brand to rep all black and gold. But make sure you use our code SICK15 for 15% off your entire purchase. It's Shop Yins. That's 2 Z's. .com. And the best part about it is there's no minimal purchase necessary. A lot of these, clothing brands that you got to spend $50 to get, 5% off. It doesn't matter. 15% off, SICK15. Let's get to it. Why not, Wes?
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco, Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
As I said in the intro, former Steelers tight end, Weslye Saunders, Gamecock, Durham's own. Why not Wes, man? That's one of my favorite sayings too, man. I love all the stuff you're doing, post-football career, and we'll get into that. But first off, how's everything going? It's good to have you on the Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy.
Jordan, hey man, I appreciate that. I was gonna say, I'm too bad I don't have a cooler background in my car right now.
It's all good. We're happy to have you.
There you go. Right, as long as you show up, we get the job done, man. But
yeah.
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so let's kind of talk about, let's rewind a little bit. Undrafted free agent, signed by the Steelers in 2011. Talk about, I was just up at camp, just the atmosphere up there. Just kind of talk about what that's like. We had Robert Golden on our show earlier this week, and I think the cool thing about it is like, he was telling us the Troy Polamalu stories, but do you go in like being an undrafted guy, kind of like, hey, I really have to prove myself? Like, hey, I'm in the same room with these guys, but I got to work extra hard because I am undrafted. Just kind of talk about the mindset going into, training camp that year.
Yeah, that was absolutely the mindset I had, and that wasn't one that I was really familiar with because anyone who had tracked my story kind of, within the past year, I had gone from the nation's #1 tight end and first round draft pick projection to undrafted, right, with a broken foot going into training camp in 2011. So, the tides had changed quite a bit in my circumstances. So that added a lot more pressure to everything. I put a lot more pressure on myself, but thank goodness I had veterans around me. And I commend Bruce Arians for pulling me aside after the first preseason game and telling me, hey, man, just do what you're good at. Stop thinking so much, because I almost got cut that first game against the Redskins, but we were just coming off the NFL lockout, so they gave a little bit of leniency to a young kid like myself.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what that's like. I always considered myself the underdog. So, being in a room with guys who, you want to model your game after, and you're just in there, hey, Robert Golden said it best. He said, Troy Polamalu said, I put my pants on the same way as you. And when you're in that room, they know what your, abilities, especially someone like Mike Tomlin. Go ahead and talk about, just Mike Tomlin, and what do you think of this current Pittsburgh Steelers team as well?
Well, with a guy like Mike T at the helm, you always got a great shot. Your company, your soldiers are only as good as its general, and he's one of those guys where you have to respect him. I've seen some coaches go out and try too hard to earn the players' respect, and he's so much of himself and so righteous in what he stands in that you either fall in line or you fall out, right? Because you'll be the outcast for not following a guy like that. So I definitely believe that the Steelers can take it as far as they want to go. And I'm starting to see a new focus. Obviously we're coming into the post-Ben era where nobody really is quite sure of what's going to happen on offense. Defense doesn't look the way that the way that it's looked in the past. Some unfamiliar names, coming to the top now. Young guys who are playing who we're counting on heavily, as opposed to the past where, some of our veterans were the guys that we were looking to lead the ship.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, a lot of a different scenario for the Steelers, but I think that's exactly the pressure that we needed. And that's exactly what's going to, obviously distinguish some of the better guys on our team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Omar Khan and the whole team just knocked this draft out of the park. I think by all national and local guys, they got an A+. I mean, to get, guys falling and, just the depth even in the 7th round, like there's still Corey Trice Jr. went down with the injury. That was kind of devastating, but it's football. Like you said, you battled through injuries yourself. And I wanted to kind of ask you too, because you're still pretty young. And I was like, I said, why not Wes? But the tight end group, talk about that a little bit. Like, you have Freiermuth, Washington, they just drafted Connor Hayward, Zach Gentry, Muth. I mean, that is just, I've never, as long as I've been alive, seen a single position stacked at every, like, it just kind of shed some light on that and what your thoughts are on that.
I love
tight end.
Oh yeah, but as to what you mentioned, yeah, man, I haven't officially retired yet, man.
You're a free agent.
I'm definitely a free agent, and the way the rules are set up now, man, I can end up on somebody's practice squad. You never know. But as far as the Steelers are concerned, man, they are stacked. I'm excited about the Washington pick. Hayward is a solid cat, Gentry, but obviously Freiermuth leading the way, and my former tight end coach Alfredo Roberts.
Okay, yeah,
coach is leading them, and I know he's a heck of a guy. He knows exactly what he's talking about, and he can get the best out of those guys week in and week out. So that's what I'm more excited about seeing.
Talk about some of your favorite memories as a Steeler I'm sure you have a bunch, but like a couple that kind of just like stuck out. And you were like, this is the Steelers organization. I just talked to Jalen Warren, the running back up at camp, and he said like it's just get to work mentality. And I think that just speaks, volumes for people who might not be familiar with Pittsburgh. A lot of the times when we have guys on our show, they're like, I didn't even know where Pittsburgh was. Like I knew about Pennsylvania, but they're always like Philly. I'm like, that's on the other side of the state, man. So just kind of talk about, what were some of those great memories being a Pittsburgh Steeler?
Oh man, from top to bottom, it was a heck of an experience, and one that I often talk about to the younger generation about how you can definitely self-destruct and mess up a good thing, right? Because I ended my career in Pittsburgh, could have been a household name had I stayed focused on the prize. But aside from that, some of my favorite memories is living, about 8 minutes from Carson Street, next door to Isaac Redmond and David, with Ryan Clark right up the street. Being around guys who had my best interests at heart. I was a rookie, and so getting to things on time was never my forte. So really having to fall in line and do what the older guys.
You came to the podcast on time.
There you go. Hey man, it's the Steelers way. So you will get cut for being late in an organization like that. So it didn't take me long to fall in line and get with the customs. And really, I think one of my favorite memories is, of course, the training camp of 2012. Instagram is 1 year old. I'm the young guy who's using Instagram, and some of my pictures made its way into the hands of James Harrison and Troy. And the fact that I would take all of these pictures and I would kind of look away like I was so cool that I didn't have to look at the camera. And Troy coined the term Wesson, W-S''N. And that was a verb to describe somebody who's taking a cool picture and not looking at the camera. And that summer, Wesson took on a life of its own.
That was like your alter ego.
That was our alter ego. And I honestly, now looking back on it, I think it was an excuse for some guys to take pictures, selfies, who wouldn't normally do it, but they can do it to make fun of me. Like
you're a trendsetter and you didn't even know it.
There you go. So now you see James Harrison all on Instagram, Ryan Clark, and all of these guys.
Yeah, I
was the first one, maybe on the team,
the pioneer. See,
there you go.
You only hear it here on the Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy.
Absolutely. So those are the kind of moments where where everybody's having fun and having laughs, but I also knew that was a sign of respect. When guys would, take their time out to make fun of me, it was only because, they respected me as a player and considered me one of the family.
Yeah, all great stuff. We are talking with former Steelers tight end Weslye Saunders. Before we get you out of here, just wanted to, talk about, I know you're involved in a lot of stuff. I know you say you're a free agent and, just waiting on calls, but just talk about, kind of, you're in Florida, right? Correct?
Yeah, Miami.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot going on. And just kind of talk about life after football and kind of, what your mission is now in life. I know football played such a big part of your life going to South Carolina. Just got done watching the highlight tape, just great stuff again. And, do you ever go back to Durham? Are you are they like building the Weslye Saunders statue there? Like, what's going on with that as well?
Well, yeah, man, definitely part of my purpose now is, reaching out to this younger generation and trying to get them before they make some of the same mistakes I made, which is ironic because one of those things I was doing up until a couple years ago was telling collegiate athletes not to accept money from agents and boosters for their likeness. And all of a sudden that is totally legal now, so I've got to times more about even the message that I'm preaching, because something that was demonized 11, 12 years ago is now encouraged, and I'm getting emails from the Boosters Club about it. So, it's a generation that we're in. So I guess pivoting and understanding the climate that we're in is a testament to where we're at. But it's exciting to me. So, and one of those pivots of mine is health and wellness. For a guy like myself to have been suspended twice for substance abuse, and something I struggle with, which accompanied my injuries, is finding healthy, holistic methods of taking care of my body was of utmost importance, and something that I definitely, like you said, I'm from North Carolina, man. A lot of people thrive off of tobacco and pork. And so me getting this health and wellness message back to them about clean eating, alkaline foods, meditation is foreign for a lot of people. So, I started my company Win with Wes, which focuses on total wellness, which means mind, body, and spirit. So we do dance movement, we do beach workouts, we do breath work, meditation, journaling, all of that good stuff. To help us overcome things that have bothered us in the past. And of course, I have my West Juice, all organic superfood blend built around gut health. Because
I'm going to be in Florida in December. I'm definitely going to have to. We'll definitely have to link up, and I'll get some of that. I definitely want to try it. I see all your posts and stuff, so
I'll have a case waiting for you, man. Yeah,
sounds good,
man. Because the gut is the second brain.
Yeah.
That's reasons why I also tell people that I haven't retired yet, because I found out things about my body in the last few years that I didn't know upon me in the NFL. Now my body can do things now that it couldn't do at 23. And I feel like I would almost be doing a disservice to the world not seeing what that would look like on the field right now.
Yeah. Hey, you never know. Even if you're open to XFL, they're doing their thing as well. So phone lines are open.
Yep, absolutely. But hey, I'm right. I'm hearing the Dolphins are having trouble with the time. It seems like the Steelers are already stacked, so I'm not going to push them there. But hey,
Kendrick Green's lining up at fullback now, and he was a center. So I mean, anything's possible. Maybe you could, put on a few pounds. You could be.
Listen, I was a heavily recruited DN outside linebacker. You speaking my language. If you're an athlete out there, that's kind of also, before we end the podcast, definitely want to shout out my father, Barry Saunders, and we just lost my stepmom to cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Kim Saunders, rest her soul. But it's kind of moments where you reflect on what you've done and where you've been, and kind of even the reasons why you give up your dreams or why you stop doing the things that once made you happy. And once you put things in perspective, that kind of leads you in the way to go and being able to follow your spirit, believing in a higher power than yourself.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I feel like when I turned 30, something just clicked. I started living a healthier lifestyle, reading more, just putting things, first. That, my little mantra is that every day I just try and get, even if you don't see results right away, I just try and get that much better. And I think that, in sports, I think that that's the ultimate sacrifice. Like, people don't understand, what you put the body through. And I think that it's always cool, especially on our podcast, to talk about, not just life after football, but what your mission is. And it's all great stuff. I mean, health is wealth. We all know that. So definitely just tell the people, before we get you out of here, where they can, follow you, check you out. And again, we just want to appreciate you coming on, as always.
Hey, man, anytime you need me, I'm here, man. You want to do some in-game, in-season reporting on the team and all that?
Yeah.
I guess everybody can find me at weslye.com, WESLYE.com. I'm available on there, man. But if you also want to check out my charity organization we work with here in Miami, silentvictimsofcrime.org. Wonderful organization who works with the kids and families of inmates, because the rehabilitation system isn't set up to restore the family structure. So that's something we focus on, man. Everybody can live healthier, prosperous lives. It takes a community as well. So you can check me out there. And of course, Wes Saunders 88 on Instagram and Twitter.
Hey, and I like to say after this podcast that we just broke the news that you were the pioneer, the first NFL star that, started using Instagram, I guess. And so trendsetter, here we have it.
At least in our locker room.
Yeah, at least in Steelerland. So
there you go. I got the receipts for that.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, we know you're a busy guy. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll definitely have to have you on again soon. We appreciate your time. This is former Steelers tight end Wes Saunders. Thank you again.
Guys. All right. Appreciate you.
Yeah, just all around great stuff as always. The stories never get old when the Troy Polamalu's, James Harrison, Ryan Clark, just phenomenal and still, doing great things in the world. So just great stuff. Games, the Steelers have a game, and we're kind of going to preview Buccaneers, week 1 preseason. I don't know how much the starters are going to play, but I think that there's a lot of position battles. I just got back from training camp, and Kendrick Green's the fullback, Dan Moore Jr., Broderick Jones, like a lot going on. But just again, being up at training camp, awesome atmosphere. Just want to shout out St. Vincent College for the hospitality. So many great people up there, just doing great things for the Steelers, education, just all around great stuff. But yeah, just kind of wanted to get your. I know you're busy. You got some stuff going on, but I thought you'd maybe stop down in Tampa and catch a quarter or something.
Yeah, if I wasn't getting married this year, I would be traveling to every single game. That it's a busy year. I don't think the fiance is going to be cool with me skipping things for preseason games at least.
Yes.
But what takes precedent in the damn regular season? She wouldn't be marrying me if she, didn't know that was the case. I'll put it that way. But yeah, man, when these guys get back on the field and you hear Bob Pompiani's voice and Charlie Batch in the booth, it's just a different vibe. It's a different smell in the air. It brings you back to, I remember like 6 years old hearing Bob Pompiani on KDKA on my television for the first preseason game, watching guys I've never heard of in my life and probably never heard of again get some serious snaps. So I'm excited. I know everybody out there is super pumped as well. Kendrick Green, what a story. I don't know what to make of it, man.
I was so at Friday Night Lights, okay, and and it sounded like there was a hit, and it sounded like a car crash. It was just unbelievable, and it was like he was like a cult hero. I want to say he was like honestly like a Duck Hodges.
I'm happy for him.
Whatever you can do to make the 53-man roster. I don't know what's going on at center there. I don't know, what the value is, but I think that they could definitely utilize him. He is an athlete. He is definitely a force to be reckoned with. I wouldn't want to be, anywhere downfield with him coming at me full speed. So, but hey, I mean, training camp, that's what it's for, to kind of figure out, where you see these players. And I think that the Rooneys and Coach Tomlin will get it done. Who are you looking forward to the most in this preseason game? I'll say mine. I'm going to go with Jaylen Warren. I think that this year he's going to play, a big part in the Steelers running game. I think last year it showed. I think he averaged 5 yards per carry. Got to talk to him up at camp. Just a great guy, and just really seems to, the 1-2 punch that Pittsburgh needs. I think that he'll play a big part in their offense, and I know he'll get some carries tomorrow. So anxious to see how he does.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the top 2 draft picks because those are guys generally who get a good amount of run in preseason games. You want to see how they perform under the bright lights. Broderick Jones, of course, you mentioned he's in a position battle with Dan Moore Jr. It sounds like he's fallen behind in the pecking order. I made an argument on a recent show that he should be the guy week 1, but it really sounds like he's fallen behind. And I do understand it for what it's worth. You have 2 of the best pass rushers in the entire league, arguably the top 2. or 2 and 3, I should say, behind TJ Watt. But you got Myles Garrett week 2, Nick Bosa week 1. It'd be tough to put Broderick in there and get his confidence down the first 2 weeks of the season. And maybe it's just a bit easier to transition to him if Dan Moore Jr. does struggle. And if he doesn't, even better for the team and Broderick's growth as well. So Broderick Jones, I'm excited to see. But Joey Porter Jr., man, some of those interceptions he's been making in training camp, showing off that length, the avatar cornerback over there. The really interesting thing about this game, and I know we're going to talk about it, is the Buccaneers have a quarterback competition. So they have a lot to play for. They have Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask, and they don't know who their starter is going to be. So they're going to play both of them at length. The Steelers defense will have a test early on. This isn't like going to play the Chiefs and, their third string quarterback is playing for 4 quarters, and you're not going to really get a true evaluation of your defensive players. So all of these new defensive guys, like Joey Porter Jr., Nick Herbig, are really going to be put on center stage against a starting offense and a starting quarterback in all likelihood. So that's not something to scoff at, man. I'm excited to see the rookies, specifically the defensive players, see how they stack up against a guy who is literally going to start at quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I think rather than Jaylen Warren, I think on offense, Kelvin Austin, I really, he was, I was watching him up at camp last year when I went up there. It was an unspecified injury, so I didn't know that he was not going to play. So just really, eager to see what he can do out there. I think on defense, he's been playing really well. Nick Herbig, as well as his brother Nate, just kind of see, where they're at. It's preseason, but it gives these guys, the rookies, a chance to really go out there and prove themselves and kind of get the flow of the game, because going from that transition to, college football to NFL, you're playing against the best of the best. So it really will be a true testament to see how these guys perform. So they're going out there.
Hopefully the Herbigs play, by the way. I do want to mention that both were a little dinged up recently. So we'll see if they play. My guess is Nick at least will, for sure.
Yeah.
I know Nate was a little dinged up, so hopefully they play. And how can you forget to mention Mount Washington?
Yeah.
Big Darnell Washington should get a lot of reps as well, along with Connor Hayward. Excited to see these guys out there on a football field.
Good luck.
Man, we'll get to see Darnell smashing some dudes like the Hulk. Yeah. I can't wait.
So it feels like we're, back in 2020 or whenever. But we're playing Baker Mayfield. He's probably going to be the starter. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that QB battle with Kyle Trask? He's a Florida guy. I think when you go from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield, it's just basically an open, may the best man win at this point. Like, they're just trying to figure it out. That's like,
Yeah, I touched on it a little bit earlier. The Steelers always had Baker Mayfield's number, except for a really important wild card playoff game.
Yeah, I was trying to forget about that, but I see it all the time on Twitter pop up.
I know, blah, blah, blah. Browns fans hanging their banner because they won wild card game.
Right, listen, you cannot argue. Let me tell you, as any sports fan, if your team, you have to humble yourself. If you are a team, the Buffalo Bills, humble yourself, because you went there 4 times and couldn't win once. Now, I'm not, I got love for everyone, Buffalo's not far, but let me tell you something. Like, that's like the Browns, the Bengals. Yeah, you're good, but until you see the Lombardi, you just humble you could be good. The future's bright, but until it happens, I just needed to put that out there.
Wild card champions. It's not a revenge game against Baker, but it'll be nice. It'll be interesting. And
listen, it's preseason. This is all just storyline. It's showbiz. How much should the starters play? Like,
1 series. That's my answer. It's short and sweet.
I agree.
One series, get them in a little bit of rhythm. Do not risk any injury. And then let Mason Rudolph and Mitch Trubisky duke it out a little bit for the rest of the game. Get Tanner Morgan in there to play some snaps too. But 1 series, I don't even say a whole quarter. Preseason game 2 is the real dress rehearsal. So next week against Buffalo is, I think, the game where you let your guys go maybe a full quarter. Maybe a little bit more. So Pickett and Allen Robinson can develop that rapport, and Calvin Austin Jr. as well, or the third as well. But this game, 1 series, no more than that. I'd be fine if it was 0 series, to be honest with you. Let the rookies go out and show out. Give the undrafted guys a chance to make a impression, and just, be very cautious.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want any injuries. I think that I heard it on the radio today. They were saying, I think that in preseason is when TJ Watt tore his pec or whatever, re-aggravated something, whatever it was. And you don't want to see that in your star players. I think that you can, respect them enough that they're going to do what they need to do when they need to do it, especially because the standard is the standard. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It's crazy. I mean, I'll be watching all 4 quarters. I'm rooting Tanner Morgan. Go ahead, do your thing. Anxious to kind of see, this is something that I wanted to talk about as well, is like the whole Mason Rudolph thing. He's the most familiar quarterback with the system, with the coaches, with the players, and kind of came back on a limb. I don't know if he gained much interest, in free agency. It doesn't seem like it. But like I feel like he's just going to go out there and light it up and really like kind of put Mitch on the hot seat and be like, look, like I've been here, I think that the preseason is his time to shine.
I think he was better than Mitch in the preseason last year. They both played well. One thing I do want to see from the Steelers is give them a chance to alternate. Yeah. Don't let Mason play strictly with the third stringers. You're just not going to get it. You see enough, that's not going to be enough to evaluate. Mix it up a little bit. Let Mason get an opportunity to play with the second team, maybe some of the first team.
Maybe
and then
start
let
him.
Mitch come in third a couple of times too, just to really give Mason a chance with some better players around him. I think the Steelers might do that, actually, even though I think Trubisky is going to be the number 2.
Yeah. You think Hakeem Butler will make the team?
No. If I had to guess right now, I would say no. It's tough. I mean, you got Deontay, George, Calvin's going to make the team. Allen Robinson's going to make the team. That, of course, is 4 right there. And then the next 3 in question are Gunner, Miles Boykin, and Hakeem Butler. It just depends on how much they're going to value special teams. And don't forget Cody White, too. They always value special teams with a 5th receiver. That's why Miles Boykin has been there.
Connor Hayward, I will say something that I noticed up at camp. He is a very good special teams player.
Great special teams player.
I mean, he was flying down the field, and he was, like, honestly, the first one, like, down there almost every time. Like, it was very, very impressive. Just when people
That's a good point.
When people always say, "Oh, it's because dude can ball." Like
that might be a reason.
I witnessed it firsthand.
That Hakeem Butler makes a team because they think, all right, Connor Hayward can take the place of a guy like Miles Boykin and be that special teams dynamo that it allows us to keep a receiver who we actually want on the field taking offensive reps as opposed to a guy like Miles Boykin. But we'll see. Preseason determines this. If Hakeem Butler goes and shows out, or rooting for him, he'll probably make the team. If he doesn't do a whole lot, I see him on the outside looking in.
NFL's tough, man, but we wish them the best. Everyone in black and gold. It's game day Friday. Here we go, Steelers. Make sure you're following us on all of our social platforms. The Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. I'm Jay York Football. That's Mic'd Up Sports 1. And the bottom line is the Pittsburgh Steelers are the best team ever.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.